VICHARA podcast. My name is Hansa Devi, and I am your host. We started this podcast and we're holding space on this platform for conversations about the sacred, the raw, and the real. We talk to people who walk their talk, and we investigate the many questions that come up as we dive deeper within. No matter what our individual path may be, or our practices may be, or the tradition or lineage that we have backing us on this journey, the underlying themes of exploration are often the same. And by talking to inspirational people and sharing reflections on topics related to being on a spiritual path, we hope to inspire your journey, provide tools, provide food for thought, and we hope to nurture your contemplation and deepen inquiry. Today we have the privilege of speaking with Annie Pace. Annie Pace is maybe most known in the Ashtanga Yoga lineage for having gone to Mysore, India to study with her Guruji, Sri K. Pattabhi Joy, since 1989. Altogether, she has over 40 years of experience of yoga, and she has adopted a very intentional lifestyle. What I love about Annie is that she's so true to lineage, and she is holding her rituals and routines very strong, and it's cultivated a sense of purity and peace at her land, in her shala. Her presence is that. And why I wanted to talk to her right now is because that in these times of COVID, both her and I have been approached by so many people that are finding themselves distressed. There is so much uncertainty, so many challenges from every direction, and we're really pushed off our center. It's hard to feel balanced when there is anxiety and depression and all of these waves of strong emotions. So our conversation today is not limited to people on a yogic path by any means. Practice or no practice doesn't matter. What we're talking about is how one can apply certain lifestyle choices to bring in more of what's called a SATTVIC energy, or more conscious energy, and so that you can bring yourself out of these spells of heavier, darker energy. And not saying that the darker energies doesn't serve a purpose, they certainly do, but what are some of the choices we can make to increase our level of awareness and also take more responsibility for our physical and mental well-being? And Annie is one of my dear ones. She is an amazing mentor and friend and teacher, and I just wanted to introduce you to her. One, because she has a lot of wisdom to share, but also because if you wanted a guide, she can be there for you. She is just a phone call away. And I just wanted to bridge the gap, I guess, with the contemporary yoga world and someone like Annie who has had a steady practice for such a long time. So here we go. Here's a moment with Annie Pace. All right, Miss Annie Pace. We are here to today address the topic of a sattvic life, a conscious life, and what that can entail, what that looks like. And Annie is, for me, one of the role models when it comes to living a sattvic life. Stepping onto her property, there is just this tangible feeling of peace and calm and purity. Stepping into her home, same thing. You are literally transformed into this, you're thrown into a time warp where you just feel that time doesn't even exist. And there's this sense, this quality of tremendous peace, actually. I don't know a better word for it. And Annie here has spent a long time diving into the gunas and their meaning, their emphasis in life. And I think that's what makes Annie outstanding, and the feeling, the sense, the qualities around Shakti Sharanam. It's a very unique place and holds a very dear spot in my heart, of course. And I wanted to pick Annie's brain on what we as lay people, householders, what we can apply in our own lives to feel the same type of peace, to cultivate the same type of qualities in and around our homes, in and around our bodies, in our minds, and spiritually as well. And it's a big, big topic. We can spend hours talking about it. But I just want to open the conversation, and who knows, we might spin off on this again. But I would like to invite Annie to share her wisdom on the topic of the gunas and a sattvic conscious life. Welcome. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you. And as grandfather used to say, here we are.
Yep.
We're here, and it's when we are as well, in very interesting times. I'd like to back up. I'm not sure who my audience is as we're doing this. And my background in the language that I used is based on yoga theory, yoga practice, Ashtanga Yoga in particular. And there's certain words that we use, like what you just said. Oh, the gunas. Well, I don't know who is listening to this. Do they know what the gunas are? Do they know what this sattva word is? So I'm making no assumptions, but I would like to preface what I'm saying with putting perspective on this, that all of the theories and principles and fancy Sanskrit words that we use, or that I might use in the next few minutes of time, are not exclusive to yoga practitioners or yoga in general. So I think I would like to begin this conversation with what ties us all together as human beings.
Jai. Perfect. I love it.
Whatever, your spiritual path or non-path is, the fact is we are all in human body. And we're living in interesting times. So if we were to put the yogic spin on this, what is yoga? Yoga translates as union, specifically union of humanity with divinity, or union of that which is temporary. We, in these little vehicles that we're wearing for 100 years, uniting with something that is eternal. And most significantly, we human beings who are under the influence of so many things, uniting with that source energy which is not under the influence of anything. When that union, when that remembering our true eternal nature happens, there is a state of bliss beyond what can be explained. So the baby steps towards that big grand mush, the grand bliss, would be something commonly known as happiness or joy. So what human being does not want to experience happiness? Don't we all want to be happy? Isn't that why we sometimes act like we're bound and determined to be miserable, is because we're not happy, and that's what we're craving. So no matter what your path is or your language is, that is something that is unique to human beings, is that we all have this inner desire for happiness and peace. The other thing that ties us together is we all are under the influence of the world that we live in, the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, the 5 elements around us. We're under the influence of our personal karma, our collective karma, which is playing out so radically right now.
Indeed.
Is there any other? It's radical. It's radical. But why not? Let's do it. Let's move through this stuff. Because we are under the influence as long as we're in human body.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw in one of my primary teachings when I work with people of different demographics and experience levels. And not everyone likes the God word. Not everyone likes, oh, spirit, oh, kundalini, oh, chi, oh, this, oh, that, whatever that is. I would call that energy that which is not under the influence. So my little acronym for that is TWINUTI, that which is not under the influence, if you like spell it out. So that's an anti-pacism.
I was hoping to get some of those.
See, that did not come from the Vedas. It did not come from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. What that came from was a distillation of listening to this theory, being immersed in these teachings for many, many years, and then being called upon to translate them to the common person. Yeah. Who does not have yogic training or philosophy training, or often doesn't even care. Yeah. Much of that has come from teaching the Crestone Charter School middle schoolers. Yeah.
Well, it's about being conscious, right? Not necessarily on the yogic path.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So these things apply to everyone. So the terms that we will use in the next bit are yogic terms. They're Sanskrit words that carry very deep meaning, and I'll do my best to expound upon that and make that clear. But yeah, isn't this why, Hansa, you and I are doing what we're doing right now? Yeah. Because people want to be happy. People deserve to be happy. And happiness, joy, bliss, union, remembering our divine essence is indeed the birthright of every human being. It is not reserved for the saints and the sages and the dudes in orange and the, it's just not. And those people that are put on the pedestals, it's like, no, this is common to all of us. And I think that's key in the teachings and in how we live our life, is that we are all human beings. And we all deserve to be treated with love and respect. And all of us are craving for something that we don't have.
Yeah, and especially now in this time too, when people feel off-centered or they're lost their grounds or everything is being challenged on every level. And now these teachings, the essence of what we're about to talk about today, is really what can get people back on track into balance. And
it is, and sometimes just being able to frame it.
Yes, totally.
Look, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
So that we don't get caught up in our own personal stuff so much, but look at what's going on collectively and what does tie us together. Yeah. Is that making sense?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So this idea of that which is not under the influence, remembering our divine essence, if you will. This will happen, and it will bring extreme joy, bliss, and balance only if our human system is ready for it, if we have prepared the ground and set it up so that this can be a very sweet ripening process. Yeah. Because it is a process. Yeah. There's no magic wand.
And no quick fix.
There is no quick fix. So from yogic science perspective, the way to experience happiness is to allow the mind to be still. Now, we don't have a switch.
That's a leap for a lot of people.
Right? It's like, if the mind would just shut the F up, all kinds of cool things can happen. But how often does that happen? So that can be one practice to start with, is to just watch the mind. And, watch where it goes, because it's crazy. It's out of control. Yeah. It's like taming a wild monkey, they say. Yep. So it's a taming process of our human system. And because our mind didn't come equipped with a switch to turn it on and off, there are practices that we do. And these practices and techniques, ways of living, are based on the theory of how energy moves. So in basic yogic science, energy moves three ways. It can move down, up, and out horizontally. These directions of energy are associated with what you mentioned, Hansa, these three gunas. So it's not rocket science to figure out that if someone is having an uplifting experience, the energy is probably flowing upward in their body, in their human system, right? In the system of subtle energy channels and the gross body and the structure of how we hold ourselves, uplifted, living with an open heart, wearing your heart high, with your feet on the ground. So,
simple things, but so profound, right?
So profound that are life-changing.
Yes.
So I'm going to, if it's okay, spend just a minute on these three energies.
Please do.
And then we can expound upon the one which will be helpful in our journey, in our life.
Please.
Yes?
Yes.
Is this good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Get me going. Wind her up.
So what are the gunas? Why are we talking about three?
Why are we talking about three? So if you look at the biggest umbrella of existence in yogic science, there are three ingredients that are required for anything to have form, for anything to exist. These are the three gunas. The three gunas have different qualities, but all three must be there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you are doing chemistry or H2O. If you don't have H and 2 and O in that combination, you're not going to have water, right? If you don't have tamas, sattva, and rajas, you're not going to have anything that exists. So these are energies flowing, the energies of existence. The first one that I'll talk about is called tamas, also sometimes called the tamo guno. Okay, this is what we're immersed in right now in the world, is this downward flow of energy, and the qualities of tamas are dark and heavy, and its color is black. And in excess, it can create inertia. It can also create confusion and chaos. When in the appropriate amount, at the appropriate time, this energy is very helpful when we want to clear out our closet or make space in our life and get rid of things that aren't serving us anymore. This energy is very helpful if we want to be able to sleep at night and experience darkness. So first in this cycle, if you will, and how we refer to the gunas, it's like first, let's make space. Let's get rid of. Let's be the protectress, the warrioress, like Durga, making space, clearing out. And if that energy gets to be too much, we can get in trouble, which is kind of where we're at right now in time.
But naturally. It's not to push away or suppress necessarily.
No, it's when we are. It's when we are. This is a time of that dark energy. So that is always there to some extent. Once space is made and we've cleared out, right, it would help us to fill up with something good, beneficial, pure, uplifting energy. And this is what's called sattva. And those qualities are always there with sattva. Uplifting, pure, bright, light, color is white, all the uplifting, pure things. When you have that aha experience, that would indicate that there is a predominance of sattva in the human system. So most significantly in yoga practice or in any aspiration to achieve that final happiness that comes along with the still mind, it is essential that there is a predominance of this SATTVIC energy in our human system. So you want to tip the scale, right? If our intention is to be peaceful, to have a calm mind, and to have happiness. If our intention is not that, we don't care. Right?
Sure.
If your intention is something else, well, never mind. So there you go.
But it is the medicine for a lot of the ailments.
It's medicine even if we don't realize it.
Exactly.
Okay, so those are some of the qualities of sattva, and we'll talk more about that. And then the third guna is called rajas. And this is the fiery, red, extroverted energy, where in excess, right, can be too overheating, too stimulating, right? But in the right amount, it can be inspiring It's the energy, it's what we're doing right now. You and I are having an extroverted conversation.
Yeah.
Neither one of us is sitting in silence in our cave.
Yeah. It's an exchange.
There's an exchange of energy, and
Yeah.
it's moving horizontally and it's moving back and forth. So this is good. It's inspiring. It's necessary for communication, for education, for music, and all of the arts.
Mm-hmm.
So you put these three gunas together. What do you get? You get existence.
Mm-hmm.
You get life.
Yeah.
Right? And this applies to sentient and insentient beings. These qualities apply to anything. The
Yeah.
bamboo, the wood, the plaster, any of that. So these are the ingredients of existence, and those are their qualities. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you for putting that foundation.
Well, you
to
kind
the
of have to
conversation.
define
Yeah.
what it is to
Yeah.
frame it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So right now, I would say that there is a huge predominance of the tamasic energy, this heaviness, this darkness, this fear, right? And along with that comes ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, these are some of the obstacles in our path, the kleshas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not knowing, not understanding, and being afraid of the unknown.
Yeah. The fear and the anxiety, the depression, it's so prevalent right now. And
It's huge.
yeah.
It's huge. And you know what? We all got it. We've all got it to some extent. We're born into life with something called abhinivesha, which is the fear of death, which is the root fear of everything.
Yeah.
You know, fear of the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. We are not in control.
So here comes the surrender, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, we're not in control. So it's hard not to be affected by the world around us, by the other human beings on the planet, by the feelings of fear and heaviness and depression coming on, and this kind of hopelessness that we're experiencing on a very large scale.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't a little thing. Everyone's being affected by this. So I believe the reason that we're having this conversation today is to discuss some ways and explore ideas. How do we pull out of that?
Exactly.
How do we pull out of that heaviness and that darkness? You know, and so there are many, many ways to do that. But again, framing it in yogic science, if we can cultivate more of the sattvic energy in our system, in our life, in our communities, we will naturally rise above the quicksand muck that is all around us.
Yeah.
It will naturally happen. And there is not a magic wand. There's not one thing you just do and then, oh, bang, okay, I pulled out of it, I'm good now. You know, it's not. It's a process. And it's a lifestyle. So working in little bits here and there. I'm a very, very firm believer in the 1% theory, or the 1 grain of sand. 1 grain of sand to tip the scale.
Yeah.
1% to have something move a different direction, so that one need not feel like they need to overhaul their complete life and change everything they're doing. But there's so many little things we can do to bring in more of this light energy.
And often it's just a shift in awareness.
Yeah, even just being able to step back and frame this.
Yeah.
When are we in time? We're in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, tamas energy is raging. This is what happens when we are.
Yeah.
So here we are in this sea of tamas, right? But we still got tools, and we still have options, and we do have choices. You know, we are in control, for the inner control freak. We are in control of some things, like what we put in our mouth.
Yeah.
You know, where we live and who we hang out with.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's certainly choices to be made. So, again, in yogic terms, we've got these 3 energies, these 3 gunas going on to pull ourselves out of the darkness. We want to create more light.
Yep.
How can we do that? Is that kind of where we're at?
Yeah. I think if we have that frame of reference that the peaceful mind is where we all want to be, and then how can we on a physical level, maybe that's where we should start in our day-to-day, what can we do? little steps. And a lot of these things are obviously free and available access to all. So why not apply them? And here we are to learn from you who have it in place. You have systems in place for this.
Like why not?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So the result of some of these practices can sneak up on people unsuspectingly. I mean, they might not start out with an intention, right?
Yeah.
But if they're following the right practices, all of a sudden, all this cool stuff starts to happen. You know. So for me, in this place is a good example of that. Here at Shakti Sharanam, I had the opportunity to design this place from the ground up.
Yeah.
And the intention of building on the physical plane was to create an environment that would easily support sattvic energy and exemplify sattvic lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I was very privileged to have the opportunity to do this. It wasn't easy and it's not paid for, but the intention was very clear. So there were many decisions that I needed to make on the material plane, you know, building materials, all that kind of stuff. So I was very much caught up in the material world during the building process.
For a good reason.
Right. So the reason was that it would be a setup so that we as a community could be prepared for whatever comes next. That me as an individual could be prepared and have a vessel, to have a space for people to come, to have positive experience and growth.
Yeah.
You know, they say, build it, they will come. Well, you build it and you see what happens. And so I didn't have a big master plan of exactly how I was going to do that, but I knew I needed to create the space.
Yeah.
And then having that intention, the rest kind of came along.
Yeah, and the space for the people that haven't been here is just absolutely amazing. I mean, my practice this morning, the first thing I said to you was I felt like I was weightless. And that is because it's marinated in both your presence, but all the intention for years.
For years.
Yeah.
And we've been 13, 14 years here now.
Yeah.
Right? With being used only for these sorts of practices. So there's not anything else that goes on here. So it becomes a bit infused. So if one had a formal yoga practice, right? In Ashtanga Yoga, we have certain techniques that we use. In other lineages of yoga, maybe there's some different techniques. But the techniques that we use with our breath and our looking place and our core energy, how we link poses together, all those technique sort of things work on the subtle energy channels in the human body to open them up so that more of that sattvic energy comes in. And this is why yogic practices work if they are authentic.
Yeah.
You know, now we have all kinds of flavors and made up stuff of yoga, but if you go back to the original yoga and the big picture of that union with the divine, with that source energy, the happiness that comes along with that, any authentic path will work.
Yeah.
Whether it's in yoga or Buddhism or whatever other spiritual, group practice that's out there, if it is authentic, it will work.
Yeah.
If it is not authentic, it's likely that there will be confusion.
Yeah.
Almost certainly there will be confusion, right? And sometimes along with that actually comes damage. So above all, let's do damage control. Stick with a program that is authentic and true to its roots.
Yeah.
So in that process, we're clearing the channels, taming the system, and all of a sudden we start feeling better. And maybe it's for 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
But if that 5 minutes happens every single day, we're building something in.
Yeah.
Right? There's a consistency to it.
Yeah.
So none of these things need to be superhuman or extraordinary. But taking 5 or 10 minutes every day of conscious breathing, conscious attention, right? Doing some techniques that are going to be helpful, bit by bit, that will actually tame our system and our mind will become still. All it requires is showing up.
Yeah.
Right? You show up, you breathe.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So there's both that kind of segment of formal yogic techniques. And let's say someone is doing these formal yogic techniques and they're doing their asana and their pranayama and all this fancy stuff, but then when they leave their practice space, they're going out and doing things that are dragging them down.
Yeah.
And that's often unknowingly.
Yeah.
Because nobody told them.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you're swimming upstream all the time.
Yeah.
So adding the lifestyle kind of stuff can enhance one's formal yoga practice. One's formal yoga practice ultimately will inform one's life decisions and how we do our day.
For sure.
You know, it's just a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
This happens. Like I said, just like a fruit ripening.
Yeah.
You set it up, follow a program, have consistency, and stuff is going to work.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of us are being caught off balance right now, or being, have extra stuff put upon us, where it's even more important to be grounded.
Yes.
To have our feet in the ground.
Yeah.
And be there for whatever comes next, right? And have a calm mind, be able to make some sense of things.
Yeah.
Right? And spread that calmness.
Totally.
Which will move into happiness.
And even if one doesn't have a yoga practice per se, and we definitely don't have a spiritual practice at all, if you still apply the lifestyle tools of this conscious way of living, it will still provide a more life quality.
Absolutely.
And well-being and
Absolutely.
inner peace. You don't have to be a practitioner necessarily. And that's another thing to bring into the conversation, or just highlight, I guess, that for the people that are atheists or whatever, it's more about being present and conscious and make those choices.
Being conscious about what you're doing, breathing consciously, walking on the planet consciously.
Yeah. Be
conscious of what we put in our mouths. What do we eat as food?
Why don't we go there?
They say you are what you eat.
Exactly. Do you mind going
there? There you go.
Great.
So think about it.
Yeah.
Right. And also one of the things I'll mention that has been up more recently, sometimes we don't think twice about eating what they call outside food, going out to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Eating something that someone else cooked that you don't know who they are or where it came from or where the ingredients came from, that can become a habit in the Western world. Totally. And people are becoming more conscious of what they're eating and doing their own cooking now that people can't go out so much.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
People are growing their own food. They're starting gardens for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's one brilliant place to start, is what are we eating? Can we grow some of our own food?
Yeah.
Can we consume maybe a 51% SATTVIC diet?
Yeah.
Right? And in that SATTVIC world would be ghee, right? Pure cow dairy, right? Milk, ghee, pure grains, fruits, vegetables, mostly.
I was going to say vegetables is a big key.
Yeah, mostly. And, there are specifics about that. I don't know how specific you want to get today. But there's a lot about that. But first is you be conscious of what you put in your mouth.
Well, let's actually talk about what's common in the Western world today. We have garlic and onion are said to be tamasic, and we're talking about shifting. And rajasic, of course, yeah. And so basically if we want to swap or turn the switch, like you were saying, to sattvic food, we would eliminate that from the diet. Are there other things like that we should be aware of? I know
there are many things, but highlighting onion, garlic, unknowingly are going to create more tamasic and rajasic energy in our body, in our human system. They're going to disturb the mind, even though we might not be aware of it right away. So that's a big one. The other thing is leftover food. Food that was really pure and beautiful, and you made it fresh, everything, all the right ingredients, and you made too much, you put it in the refrigerator overnight, and you take it out and you eat it the next day. It has not only lost its good sattvic qualities, but it turns more and more tamasic. So this habit of just putting, I'll just put it in the fridge, leftover pizza, whatever it is, it's not live food anymore.
I was going to say, it's the prana within it that's not as vital. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it actually transforms, not as vital, but actually brings us down.
Okay.
So in that tamasic category, kind of that downer category, also would be meat, alcohol, pot to some extent, the leftover food, garlic, mushrooms, to some extent. Many things are there. Those are the primary ones. Now, caffeine would be in the rajasic category.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Okay, so in the rajasic fiery category, that would be the stimulant category.
Yeah.
Okay, the uppers. Caffeine, stimulants, too many spices, like that. It's not to say don't have your cup of tea, Hansa. I mean, but in excess.
Yeah.
Right? These are things that will, over time, really spin us out.
Yeah.
So just slowly. So what do you do? And am I saying that garlic, onion, and alcohol and pot are evil?
If you're saying that?
Yeah.
No, I think moderation is the key word here, right?
Well, moderation is one key word. The other key word is appropriateness.
Yeah, exactly.
That many of these articles are meant to be used as medicine. Garlic is an amazing medicine.
Yeah.
And we don't need to go on and on about that. But if it's used every day out of habit, then it loses its medicinal qualities.
I'm glad you bring that up because that is a very important topic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like nothing is really evil. It's just how are we using it? What's our intention? Is this appropriate?
At this time, yeah.
Yeah, but like nobody told us.
Yeah.
It's like, so how do you deal with that? How do you all of a sudden have this Brahmin diet? That's not going to happen for most people.
And you're not going to be happy eating that way either.
No,
unless
you're going
it's
to make
a
yourself
conscious choice.
crazy.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, and probably anyone listening to this has gone through some experience of trying to quit something.
Yep.
Trying to quit smoking or trying to quit coffee or whatever it is. Well, fine, give yourself a substitute or just cut back a little bit. Tip the scale, 1%, 1 grain of sand, a little here, a little there.
I like that. That's very forgiving and it makes it accessible. And then people can build on that when they have the confidence that I can change my behavior.
Yeah, in little ways. And it certainly adds up. One of the biggest things, I do these cooking classes and people are horrified when onion, garlic, you're not going to use onion or garlic. No, I'm not. So use ginger instead.
Yeah.
Ginger is heating, it's warming, but it's nourishing, right? It carries a lot of stuff through the system. It's going to satisfy that craving for that little bit of spice.
Yeah. Sugar is another thing. Is that more rajasic than tamasic?
Sugar, if it's refined, but but sweet foods are sattvic.
See, this is it's interesting.
It's a big science, and I don't know how much detail we want to get into today.
I think it's make people aware.
Sweet foods are foods that are inherently sweet. Carrots are sweet. Wheat is sweet. Rice is sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet foods are there. Most fruits are sweet.
Yeah.
Without having to be refined white sugar.
Exactly. And they're natural.
So those are the things that are going to calm our system.
Yeah.
There's a whole science to that. I mean, I can't.
No, I know. And I'm not asking you to go into that whole, that could be a 1-hour conversation, just that. But it's good to get a little bit of
a little bit
glimpse.
Here, a little bit there.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. What do you do if you're not sure?
I muscle test. Or I really listen in. I try to listen to, and it might be a totally different response than I was expecting. But what do you do?
Well, with any of these practices, whether it's the food, the yogic techniques, anything that we're doing in lifestyle moving forward. And this is where it's largely lacking in the Western world, is you ask the question, you have a guide.
Yeah.
You have someone that you can go to bounce things off of, right? To ask questions, to check in with. Sometimes just in the act of articulating the question.
It's like me calling you.
There you go. It's like it's right there. We just need to articulate it.
Yeah.
And that requires kind of this self-admission of, oh my God, there's something I don't know the answer to.
Yeah, well, obviously it's there. We just got to trust our intuition, and we're not used to that.
And go to a human guide as opposed to the internet, because if you go to the internet, you'll find any answer you want if you look long enough. So, so many choices are there. So having a guide, also hanging out with like-minded individuals and having sangha, having a support system.
Yeah.
people who choose the same way, people who have the same values in their life.
Yeah.
And we can do that.
And right now it's so prevalent, like that group of the holding is just so important. The support just seems like people are craving so much.
They are. And as I was saying to you earlier, Hansa, it's like this very revealing process of who's got your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we need to strengthen those connections and maintain them and be talking to each other.
Yeah.
And asking the questions and bouncing things off of each other.
Yeah, we're definitely not in it alone. And I feel like this has created a lot of sense of isolation for people and alienation. And then the step becomes even bigger to take that leap to ask someone.
Exactly. Exactly. So we need to be diligent. We need to keep on it.
Yeah.
And keep on our own game.
Yeah.
So the whole food thing, we could go on for days and years about that, but not just what we eat, but when we eat it.
Perfect. Go there.
How we eat it.
Yeah.
With consciousness.
Yeah.
Not while we're driving the car and, multitasking, doing all these other things. Not to eat before it's time to eat. And this is one of the biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
Is that people are eating before their last meal has digested, and then the digestive system gets all confused about what's coming in and what's going out and what am I supposed to be doing, and in this way it strains the digestive system.
So what's the ideal there?
The ideal there is to put as much space in between meals as you can.
Do you do 1, 2, 3 meals a day? What's the general recommendation there?
They say, this is not me, this is they say.
Okay.
The yogis say. See if I get the story right. The person who eats once a day is a yogi. The person who eats twice a day is a good practitioner. The person who eats thrice a day is a common man. And the person who eats 4 times a day is a dead man. This is classic. I get this from all my teachers.
Yeah.
All the Indian teachers tell the same story.
Yeah.
This idea of just eating out of habit.
Yeah.
Or snacking while you're doing something else. It doesn't give the digestive system time to work.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're jumping in midway before something else has happened. Right? So to eat when the digestive fire is up.
Yeah.
Biggest meal in the middle of the day is good. Not to eat late at night, right before bed. Do your yoga practice before you eat. So many rules, schmules are there. I won't go on and on. But, eating the right food at the right time.
Yeah. In the right way.
In the right way, consciously,
Yeah.
quietly, without distraction. Doing that, just changing how one eats.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't change the ingredients, would make a change.
Yeah.
Over time. So all of this stuff is slowly,
Yeah.
over a long period of time. You do something consistently, it's going to work.
Yeah. And there we also have a prayer that we do before meals with you, and which is in the yogic tradition. Do you see that across many spiritual traditions, to bless your food? Is that part of Yeah. And I feel like that's such an important piece to draw you there, to the moment, to be there, to give that gratitude. And then you're actually ingesting this food with that sense. And it's game changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so these can be things just to watch.
Yeah.
Again, without overhaul.
Yeah.
But watch. Oh gosh, I was kind of unconsciously snacking while I was driving down the road or something like that. So little bits.
Yeah.
So when we eat, what we eat, appropriateness, how we use things, how we use ingredients. So the food that we take in. Then there's the water that we drink, the air that we breathe.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're in control of these things, sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
The materials that we are surrounded with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
most significantly, the people that we hang out with. These all have impact.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do to create purity in relationship with other human beings, it's not always possible, but when we can, we do.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe we're not in control over, we have to get on the airplane, You're not in control over who you're with, the toxic environment, all these things. So I'm going to jump to what can you do when you don't have this optimal setup.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yeah, please.
Right? Because sometimes I feel like I'm sitting here, little Miss Princess, in this privileged position, and it's almost like I'm cheating. Because I live in a pretty pure place, and I've built very consciously and kind of set it up.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of that is just automatic around here.
Yeah.
Not that I don't take it, that I don't have gratitude. I don't take it for granted, but it's here. But every once in a while, I have to get on an airplane.
Yeah. What do you do?
I have to be in some god-awful meeting, with angry people, or, whatever that situation is. So this is where we can jump to, remedies.
Perfect.
Okay. What do you do if you couldn't eat at the right times, you ate the wrong food, or, eating mistake, what do I do? Okay. Easiest thing to do is skip your next meal.
Okay.
Just skip a meal. You don't have to fast for a week. Just, give your digestive system a rest and opportunity to clear.
Cool.
Period. Easy.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do after being on the airplane, or whatever that is, or any toxic environment? What we can all do is look to the elements. 5 elements are there. The most purifying of the elements is water. So what do? If you have the opportunity, take a shower, take a bath before you go on to your next activity. Get off the plane, whatever it is, go someplace. What if you don't have the opportunity to have a shower?
I would take an air bath, literally stand in the wind.
Stand in the wind, so use the wind. Or if you can't take a full bath, you take a bird bath in the sink.
Yeah.
You find a sink and you face, hands, feet, whatever. And acknowledge that element, that water is indeed purifying. Standing in the wind is purifying. Okay? Fire is purifying. All of it, lay down on some clean earth.
Yeah.
Connect with the earth. These are remedies for being in situations that are not ideal.
Yeah.
And not hard to do.
Yeah, certainly not. You just got to be aware.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
We've all got, or 1 minute.
Yeah.
We can all find that.
Yeah. What are some of the day-to-day things that you have applied to your own life that are some of the most potent ones? I mean, it doesn't have to be the most complex ones, but the ones that you will not let go of, that are like the essentials.
What am I most attached to? She's asking
Well, I guess I'm looking for a short list.
well, they say as long as we're in a human body, we're going to have some attachments.
Yeah.
And if we're doing some sort of practice where we're progressing, our attachments will become more refined.
Yeah.
And, better to have attachment maybe to your guru or your family or your practice than to something else that is not so helpful.
Yeah.
Right. So, that was like a pop quiz for me.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say that is how I start my day.
Okay.
That I get up before the sun. And take care of my personal bodily functions.
Yeah.
Have my little bath, whatever it is. Then I come over here to the shala. And I make an offering. And for me, that's my puja. That's taking care of the gods and the goddesses and doing the arti and saying the chants that I do and the mantras that I do every single morning without fail. Yeah. So I do all of that first. Then I would do my personal, if there's time left. If I don't get carried away chanting, then I would do my personal asana pranayama practice. Make sure I get a shavasana so that I can face the rest of the day and be up for whatever's going to be on my plate, because you never know.
Yeah. And I think this is actually, it doesn't matter if we don't have the same type of practice as you or the same ritual as you. What's important here is that nurturing self-care and begin there. It's like they say on an airplane, you put the air mask thingy on yourself first.
And then your child.
Exactly.
And this is where some of us are really in a hot seat right now.
Yeah.
To be on our game.
Yeah.
And like I said to you earlier, forgive my English, but have your feet on the ground when the shit hits the fan.
Yes. And that's by being nurtured. That's by feeding yourself and knowing that you take care of this will be able to then serve all the others.
Yeah. And so what happens with many of the techniques, the authentic yogic techniques, is they're actually very time-saving.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you take an extra hour or 5 minutes every day to do some of these practices, it's going to save you many hours later in the day because you're going to be clearer, you're going to work more efficiently, you're going to need less sleep, right?
Yeah.
Because the body and everything is working more efficiently.
Yeah.
So it's generally worth taking the time to do that.
That's a big component
It's
because that's
big,
usually an argument people have, and I mean we've all been against that.
I haven't had time.
Totally.
So doing something for 5 minutes counts.
Yeah.
So people who have had exposure, been taught these long, elaborate yoga asana programs or long pranayama programs or these things that could go on for hours, sometimes make an assumption that, well, oh gosh, I don't have 2 hours, so I don't have time to practice, right? And go out the door and have a cup of coffee instead. Where really, if we just took 5 minutes and did some of that, it actually works.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, no doubt.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I got to say, on a personal note, in some circles, I have this reputation as being this like Ashtanga Yoga, asana rock star, within the asana world and all of that. Well, that's way behind me. I did that for a while. Back when I was your age, I did that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't need to do all that anymore.
No.
It served its purpose. I got to spend a lot of time in India with Guruji and that was great, but I'm a householder now. I have a community to take care of.
Yeah.
I'm old and broken and postmenopausal and, accidents and injuries and, it's like, no, you don't have to have a rock star, circus practice.
Yeah.
5-10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
In Ashtanga Yoga, it could be 5 minutes of simply practicing breath, bandhas, drishti, and some micro vinyasa. That's it. 5 minutes. You got it. It's
cool.
A package.
Cool. We have your permission.
I
know we do. But
we all just need to give ourselves permission.
Yeah. And what you were doing when you were our age and you had that elaborate practice, what's the golden thread to who and where you are today is that you showed up with your full presence. And that is what you're holding now too in terms of your practice. Like you're saying, it doesn't matter if it's a long thing, it's that you're doing it, how you're doing it, with the devotion, with the conscious presence, really.
Well, yeah, and so here's a test for you, Hansa.
Uh-oh.
What's the 3-syllable Sanskrit word for that consistency of practice, for that showing up and doing it? It's in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
Abhyasa, continuity.
Yeah. Consistency
Yeah.
over a long period of time with devotion.
Yep.
That applies to any practice.
Yeah.
You're learning to ride a bicycle. You're learning to play the
Yeah.
violin. You're learning a
Totally.
language. You do a little bit every day.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think we all need to give ourselves a break.
Especially now.
Yeah. Take 5, take 10.
Yeah.
Nurture ourselves.
Yeah.
Be in nature for a little bit. Whatever it is we can do. I don't buy it that there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
I just don't buy that. I don't buy, oh, well, I can't practice because I broke my arm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy it.
Yeah.
As long as we can breathe, we can practice. As long as we have basic functionality,
Yeah.
we can make some choices and, spend a few moments every day.
Yeah. And that's the same thing there. Even if you don't have that yoga practice and you don't have a setup of anything, you can sit in your garden and pay that attention to your breath. You can do it in your home, on your couch, if you're just, properly sitting with an erect spine and being present, being alert, but yet relaxed. And it doesn't have to be in a yoga studio and in yoga clothes or
on a fancy yoga mat and everything else.
No,
nothing is required.
Yes.
You need to show up and be able to breathe.
Yeah.
5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, sunrise, sunset, bookend the day.
Yeah.
Fine. Enough.
Yeah.
You know, for those who aren't householders and don't have so many other responsibilities, fine. If you have time for longer practices, take it.
Yeah.
You know,
The world needs that too.
Well, it does, and the world is benefiting from those practitioners who are going into solitude.
Yeah.
And practicing.
Yeah.
You know, these are not the householders who are going into denial and
Yeah.
fear, but there are many serious practitioners who have taken this opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, to really go inside and really be quiet. The serious meditators.
Yeah.
And we are all benefiting from that.
Yeah.
So we're all affected by what each other does.
Yeah, but I think that is a beautiful segue also then into when people are struggling to give themselves the self-care that they know that they need, or that they used to have this self-care practice and they've now fallen off that track. You're not doing it just for you. You're doing it for everyone around you, every living thing around you. And I think that's an important component to remember as well, because when you have that bigger picture and that purpose, then it's a lot easier to spend those 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
because we are all connected.
Totally.
You know, it's true. And even those who are single and live in a single one-person unit household, what we do still affects.
Oh, certainly.
Everything, everyone. So whatever little bits we can do, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and what Babaji said, you know, Herkan Babaji said, you live in truth, simplicity, and love.
Beautiful.
Just live simplicity and love. Part of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and the 8 limbs. Yeah. Truth, simplicity, love. How hard is that? Yeah. Right? It's not rocket science, but it's not always easy to do. So little bits. Yeah. Little bits.
I feel like we covered a lot, and this is just a wonderful conversation. I'm just very grateful that we take the time.
Well, and it's the tip of the iceberg, really.
Yeah.
And it's everything.
Yes.
It's everything. You know, these basic principles. Yeah. Of how energy flows. Yeah. How the human system is unique this way in carrying these energies. And honoring that. And honoring our humanity. Yeah. And not taking that as an insult. You know, it's an honor to be a human being. And sometimes it might feel like a blessing, and other times it might feel like a curse. Mm-hmm. But as long as we're in human body, there is opportunity to experience the bliss of the divine. Mm. The opportunity is there. When that moment will happen, we don't know. Yeah. It's like the fruit. What exact day or moment will that fruit be exactly ripe? We don't know.
All we can do is prepare the soil and
exactly.
nurture it with water.
Exactly.
And all of
so we keep doing that.
Yeah.
And we just keep doing that. And we keep doing that.
Yeah. And
so there's another little cycle that I'd like to mention. Yeah. And again, this isn't directly out of the Vedas or anything, but this is like observation of how things flow. Mm-hmm. So when abhyasa is there, consistency is there. You do something consistently over a period of time. This cultivates something called shraddha.
Yes.
Faith.
Yes.
Okay. Faith is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? So then, when you've done something consistently over a long period of time and you have faith with that, ultimately, that spawns gratitude. Yes. So, gratitude then, right, getting more and more established, that will result in seva.
Which is service.
Service.
Yeah.
Offering.
Yeah.
So that everything we do becomes an offering. Yeah. So not that we're not nurturing ourselves and not that we're not receiving, But if we can take every action that we do as an offering.
Yeah. Goodness, if the world could live that way.
Again, you listen to that little paragraph and it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But it's also not happening
Yeah.
to a large extent, largely to when we are. So we need to accept that and frame that.
Yeah.
We are living in the Kali Yuga. We are living in a time of raging tamas energy and rajasic energy. And it's going to take a little bit of extra credit to find that lightness.
Yeah.
To find that softness and that peace and that love.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't need to be a major overhaul.
Yeah.
A little extra credit. A little here, a little there. Slowly, slowly.
Yeah.
As Guruji said, all is coming.
Yeah.
It's our birthright.
And we also have to give our hearts for it. We got to show up. Like
Gotta show up.
Yeah.
Gotta show up.
But I'm glad you brought up that Shraddha and the conviction, because that is really what I feel fuels the next few steps. It fuels that gratitude, like you're saying. And from that gratitude, once that becomes, I don't want to say automatic, because it's nothing we're not taking life for granted or the gifts in life, but it's just easier to access.
It's one of the noble qualities that appears in human beings.
Yeah.
That is to be cultivated, to be nurtured, and becomes a little bit more inbuilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as habit or mechanical, but
yeah,
it presents itself.
That also can spill over onto others. So even at that stage, when there's that gratitude, that has ripple effects. And then you go into the offering mode or seva. It can be at a shrine, it can be to a deity, but it can also be to your fellow human being. It's these acts of kindness and showing up and being there. And you have your phone ring a lot when people are losing their foothold right now, and a lot of us are in that service position, and unless we have that level of self-care, we're not going to be able to maintain that. And exactly. I think it's I love how you show the full spectrum there, because we're not doing our self-care practice for us, it's so that we can serve.
Yeah. All of us.
Yeah. Everyone.
All of us.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Okay then.
I guess the only other thing that I had, I guess it's like rewinding back to on the physical level, but if people want a tangible tool, what they can do to bring more sattva energy into their lives on the physical plane. When Yoshi and I got together, we eliminated all of the music in our playlist that brought back memories or brought up emotions or anything like that. And it was a tangible thing that we did to eliminate or make more distance between us and those memories, so we could really look at them for what they were, instead of them a song coming on and instantly we're in that emotional swirl. Yeah, totally. And that's just something that I wanted to recommend in this context, because it literally changed the tone of my voice in my mind. And it worked for us.
But
yeah,
we don't want to nuke the things in our life that provoke good memories.
Okay.
All right, so a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Should you stop me now?
No, please.
Smriti vritti.
Okay.
That's one of the parts of our mind. When the mind is active, one of the places it can be is in memory.
Yep.
So if we're remembering stuff that's going to drag us down the sewer, it's not so helpful.
Yeah.
However, you've experienced this, Hansa, when I start telling stories about my guru, right?
Yeah.
And I'm remembering.
Yeah.
I'm going back in time to this precious, precious time and place.
Yeah.
And I get a cellular experience of being there in a very good space.
Cool.
Or that practice that we had, or that experience that we had, that was blow-minding in a good way. Right? When we had that aha thing.
Yeah.
Recalling that can be very helpful.
Yeah.
So it's like discrimination in what we are recalling.
Yeah.
But discrimination in a larger scale, what you're speaking about, is like getting rid of stuff that is not serving us anymore.
Totally.
Basically.
And that can be,
that can be simply cleaning out your closet.
Exactly. That's kind of what I wanted to get to.
Reorganize your saris, Annie. Take the stuff to the free box or whatever it is. And this is one of the helpful aspects of tamas energy, is this clearing out.
Yeah, you're making space. You're
clean
getting
your house, clear out the
resolve.
closets. Give stuff that you're not using. Give it away to somebody who can use it.
Mm-hmm. I think discrimination is one of the key words here also, because everything we've talked about, from being in Sangha with like-minded people, eating the right things, it's to apply that oomph of discrimination and looking at your life without judgment and just taking away certain things that don't serve you. You don't have to eliminate all the foods that don't serve you, but go bit by bit. And I think that discrimination is something that we also will, through yogic practices, cultivate. But
and discrimination they say that there are like 3 parts to the human system. Mm-hmm. This threefold thing. This has to do with Patanjali and all kinds of other stuff. But we have the body, we have the mind, and we have our 5 sense organs. Mm-hmm. One of those sense organs is our mouth and our tongue and our capacity for speech. Mm-hmm. Speech is huge.
Thank you for bringing that up.
So if we can be discriminating in our speech and maybe take a microsecond and determine, is this conversation going to be useful?
Yeah.
If I go on talking in a negative way about so-and-so or such and such and situations, and there's so much negative material to talk about today, it's endless.
Yeah.
To just, before we have a conversation or spend too much time on something.
Yeah.
Is this going to be helpful?
Yeah.
Will it serve any purpose?
Yeah.
And if not, maybe just zip the lips and not say it.
Exactly.
Or when we might have this little feeling, this little inkling to say something that might be helpful, and then we get shy. To do it anyway.
Yeah.
This is another one of these noble qualities of human beings, is straightforwardness.
Yeah.
Being honest, being open, having the communications that are helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love how you brought that up, because it's really thought, word, action. It does have that ripple effect. And even if you don't see it in the person receiving it, it might drag them down. There's so much to that. There's incredible amount of hurt we can do just with a thought or a word.
Yeah, and there's an incredible amount of help and goodness we can do as well.
Exactly.
And to be on the lookout for those little windows of opportunity.
Yeah.
With everyone.
Yeah.
Not just with special people.
Yeah. That's
with,
important.
With everyone, with all human beings, with, even with that person who seems like, wow, their negative energy is really dragging me down. Mm. We have choices. Yeah. We can stay away from that. We can step up and maybe offer something helpful to that situation, bring it love, bring it light.
Yep.
And then that's all.
Yeah, you go home and you shower.
Yeah, exactly. Or take a dip in North Creston Creek. Have your holy bath.
Yeah, no doubt.
Find your local holy body of water.
Yeah.
And purify.
Yeah.
And rejuvenate.
Yeah. Oh, Annie, thank you so much.
Oh, Hansa, this has been so fun. I hate doing these things.
I know, and I'm so grateful.
My gosh, yeah. How many podcasts and YouTubes are out there, Annie Pace?
Yeah. No, I know.
No, I don't. So.
But thank you for doing this, because right now is when the world needs it, and you have a lot of good, tangible tools that you've applied in your life that obviously have an effect. And for people that have not been here, felt it, seen it, this is at a crucial time. So I'm really grateful that you are spending a moment and sharing from your heart like you are, because it's very valuable for so many people. So thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Just to wrap this up, I want the listeners to know how to get a hold of you, how to get engaged with you and Shakti Sharanam, and if they want to learn more, where do they go? Please give us the lowdown.
Okay, so I can tell you what I'm not doing.
Okay.
No, I'm not teaching any Zoom classes. Yes, Shakti Sharanam is open for live instruction on a private and semi-private basis. To get hooked up with any of that, you would, on your rotary dial 719-256-5668. The website has more information.
And the website is shaktisharanam.com or anniepace.com.
Either one, same thing. It has lots of information on there. I'm also available for phone consultation. That's about it.
That's
mostly
great.
Just call.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll put all this information in the show notes so it's accessible there as well.
Well, and also things will be changing.
Yeah.
You know, with situation and what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Yeah.
So always calling is best.
Yeah. Perfect.
See the current
Cool.
live updates from Shakti Sharanam.
Which we love.
Stay tuned.
Cool.
May God protect and nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our studies be fruitful. May we live in harmony. Om Shanti. Namaste.
Namaste. Om. So that was our first conversation with Annie Pace. I'm already going to spill the beans that we have another episode recorded on the topic of home practice. So stay tuned for that if you like this first conversation, and if home practice is something that you're cultivating or nurturing or want to have infused with some inspiration from Annie Pace. But about today's conversation, take 1% of this information and apply what you can. That's the most important part. Any little bit, take it. It's a gift. And as Annie would say, the little bits can be way more potent than we realize. So I want to leave you with that. Marinate in what you've heard today, apply what you can, and watch the ripple effects that it will have in your life. The VICHARA podcast is a completely donation-based initiative. If you liked what you heard today, you can support us by 1, donating to the cause of creating more content, 2, subscribe wherever you find your podcasts, and also leave a review. The reviews are super helpful, and spreading the word through social media, tagging, posting, all of that stuff really helps to spread the word. The way the algorithms works these days is really through you guys and the network that more people get to hear about it, and that's really what this is all about, is just sharing the teachings. So please share it and review it, and yeah, until next time. Om Tat Sat.